First of all, let us talk about storage services. In this, what is Azure Blob Storage? It is an object storage. In this, we pay for what we store. It has an unlimited storage. There will be no resizing of volumes, and there is no file system protocols. Next, we will talk about disk storage. Disk storage is simply a virtual volume. We can choose any option from it. That could be SSD or HDD. It has an encryption by default, and we can attach this volume to the VMs. Now, file storage. It is a shared volume that you can access and manage like a file server. For example, you can use SMB or NFS protocol for it. Then Azure Queue Storage. It is a messaging queue, a data store for queuing and reliably delivering messages between applications. Next will be Azure Table Storage. It is a wide column NoSQL database. It hosts unstructured data independent of any kind of schema. Then there will be Azure Databox. It is a rugged briefcase computer and storage designed to move terabytes or petabytes of data across the Azure. Then Azure Archive Storage. It is a long-term cold storage for for example, when you need to hold onto files for years and you need cheapest options, then Azure Archive Storage comes into play. uh, After that, Azure Data Lake Storage. It is a centralized repository that allows you to store structured and unstructured data at any scale. Okay, now we will see what are the computing services in Azure. First of all, we will see what is Azure Virtual Machine. So basically, it is a Windows or Linux virtual machine uh, that we use for the computing purposes. It is the most common type of computing uh, environment in Azure. Further on, Azure Container Instances. It is a Docker as a service that runs the containerized apps on Azure without provisioning the servers or VMs. Okay. For the containerization purposes, we use Azure Container Instances. Next comes Azure Kubernetes Services. Uh, it is just a, we can say, for managing the lots and lots of Docker images. It is We can say that Kubernetes as a service. It is easy to deploy, manage, and easy to scale Kubernetes clusters. Next come Service Fabric. So it is a tier 1 enterprise container as a service that runs in Azure or on premises. Azure Functions. Azure Functions, it is an event-driven serverless compute functions that runs code without provisioning or managing servers. Next, Azure Batch. What is Azure Batch? As the name suggests, it plans, it schedules and executes your batch computer workloads across hundreds and hundreds of jobs running in parallel. So that's all for computing services. Next comes database services. What are database services? It, as the name suggests, when we deal with the data and when we use the already provided resources by the Azure, then it is known as services. Okay, so database services. Azure first comes Azure Cosmos DB, very popular, a fully managed NoSQL database designed for scale with guarantee of up to 99.999% SLA. SLA means availability. So this is Azure Cosmos DB. Azure SQL database. It is a fully managed Microsoft Server SQL database with auto scale, integral intelligence, and robust security. Azure database for MySQL. It is a fully managed and scalable relational database with high availability and security. For MySQL, they have for PostgreSQL and for MariaDB. Okay. Now, SQL Server or on VMs. It is simply you can host the SQL Server apps in the cloud. It is used in the lift and shift scenario where Microsoft SQL servers we shift from on-premise to the Azure cloud. And next comes Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse Analytics, or we can say that Azure SQL Data Warehouse, it is a fully managed data warehouse. Security of this is quite at very high level with no extra cost. We don't pay for this high level security of the data in Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Azure Database Migration Service. Azure Database Migration Service is basically used to migrate your databases to the cloud with no charges for the code application. Okay. Azure Cache for Redis. Uh, Redis is basically a database we generally use for the cache management. It is very good in that. And cache is frequently used in static data to reduce the data and application latency. So this is all about database services that Azure provides. Next come application integration services. As the name suggests, these are the application which we use for integrating the application within our services. Whether now the services could be one or many. We can integrate the services from one resource to other resource, or there will be only a single resource where we are integrating with the help of these services. Now what we are integrating? We are integrating the extra utility or extra messages, or we can say that extra functionality to that resource. So in this first comes Azure Notification Hub. This basically deals with the uh, publisher and subscriber problems. It used to send a push notification to any platform from any backend. So if you want to push the notification, for example, when some YouTube creator upload the video, then he didn't go to your house and tell that, okay, I have uploaded a video, please watch, please like and share. You just get the notification as soon as he or she uploaded the video. And so how you are getting message of that? You are getting the message with the help of publisher and subscriber uh, handle of the issue, which is Azure Notification Hub, which is like Azure Notification Hub, because we at the backend we are using some notification resources only send you the notification that, see, this video has been uploaded by some XYZ YouTube creator. You can go and watch it. Okay, so for similar criteria, for similar functionality, Azure provides Azure Notification Hub. Azure API Apps. It is an API gateway that quickly build and consume APIs in the cloud. It is used to route your APIs to Azure services. Now, for example, you have made an API and you want to use that API in different services in the Azure. Then you are going to use this Azure API Apps. Azure Service Bus. Now, Service Bus is a reliable cloud messaging as a service, and it is a hybrid integration. Now, Service Bus is simply, you can say, uh, it is a messaging tool which is quite very much reliable, and it is used for the integration purposes in the hybrid kind of environment where different technologies is in uh, in communication, that may be cloud native or non-cloud native. Then you are using Service Bus. Azure Stream Analytics. Azure Stream Analytics is a serverless real-time analytics system, uh, which is provided from the cloud to the edge. Azure Logic Apps. Azure Logic App is simply, you can say, it deals with the pipeline of the processes. In this, we make the pipeline to execute the process one by one. So it schedule, automate, and orchestrate the tasks, your business processes and workflows. Integration with enterprise SaaS and enterprise applications is basically its main role. So it basically integrate your environment with the enterprise software as a service and enterprise level applications. Azure API management. It is a hybrid multi-cloud management platform for APIs across all environments, uh, put in front of existing APIs to add additional functionality. It means if you want to add some additional functionality for your existing APIs, whatever you have made for anything, if you want to add additional functionality, then you are going to use the Azure API management. Next come Azure Queue Storage. Azure Queue Storage is a messaging queue In this we store data for queuing and we deliver messages between applications. That is Azure Queue Storage. Now let's come to the some services of Azure which we use for developer and mobile tools. Okay. Now Azure Signal R service. It is a real-time messaging tool. Uh, it can easily add real-time web functionality to applications. Uh, you can think of it like a pusher for Azure. It is something which push the things from Azure to your tools. Azure App Service. Azure App Service, it is easy to use service for deploying and scaling web application. Okay, you can think of it like a Heroku platform where you might be used to deploying your uh, projects for showcasing on LinkedIn or anything. You deploy on Heroku platform. So it is similar to that only. Azure App Service is simply to deploy and scale your web application at the go. Visual Studio, as I'm using the Visual Studio on my desktop. Similar Visual Studio as you provide on their environment. Uh, by using Visual Studio only, we used to code on Azure wherever we want to code for something. Okay, for example in Logic apps and something, or functions, Azure functions. We use Visual Studio only to write the code. Xamarin. Uh, Xamarin is a language which is a language, or we can say that it is a mobile app framework that we that is being created for scalable native mobile apps with .NET and Azure. Okay, Azure Devops. Azure Devops, we can say, hold on a bit. Yeah. So where are we? Azure Devops. Uh, so Azure Devops is something which we use more often nowadays because of that agile methodology. Um, in With the help of Azure DevOps, you can plan smarter, you can collaborate smartly, and you can ship your product faster with a set of modern development services. Now, in this we get Azure Bots. What is Azure Bots? It is a Kanban deliver value to your users faster using proven agile tools to plan, track, and discuss work across your team. Azure Pipelines. Azure Pipelines is something which we use to build, test, deploy with continuous integration and continuous deployment with any language, platform, and cloud. In this way, we can usually use a GitHub or Git provider and deploy continuously. Azure Repos. Uh, you can get unlimited cloud hosted private Git repos and collaborate to build code with pull request and advanced file management. Azure Test Plans. Uh, Test and ship with using manual and exploratory testing tools. Azure Artifacts. You can create, host, and share packages with your team and add artifacts to your CI/CD pipelines with a single click. Azure DevTest Labs. Uh, Fast, easy, and lean dev test environments. Here you can just provision one single VM very fastly and you can test any functionality at the go, and you can just stop that VM and delete that VM on the go only. So basically the charges are less but the productivity is high with Azure DevTest Labs. Now let's come to the cloud native networking services. Cloud native and non-cloud native, there are two terms. Cloud native means everything from starting to end is happening on the cloud. It is living there only. The birth taken place on the cloud and it will die on cloud only. So that is called cloud native. And non-cloud native is something which is not cloud native. Okay. Uh, Now in this cloud native networking services, first come Azure DNS. So it provides ultra fast DNS responses and ultra high domain availability. Azure Virtual Network. Azure Virtual Network is a logical isolated section of Azure Network for customers to launch Azure resources within. Okay, it means you just isolate your resources so that uh, there will be no any kind of conflicts or rifts between the resources, and there will be high level of security. That's why you use Azure Virtual Network to isolate your for more specific, if we go, you can say you are isolating your business layer applications, you are isolating your uh, test testing environment and anything. I mean, you are isolating your IaaS entities, you are isolating your PaaS entities. And there could be any kind of there are many methodology for doing that. So you can use Azure Virtual Network for the same. It kind of provide you the virtuality in the network. Now, Azure Load Balancer. Azure Load Balancer is simply used to balance the traffics that are coming to your resources. Azure Application Gateway. Azure Application Gateway, we can say it is a kind of load balancer that that can apply a web application firewall, network security groups. It is a virtual firewall at the subnet level. NSGs are basically where you declare your inbound and outbound rules so that a particular uh, a traffic comes from a particular uh, protocols only. For example, if you are applying some rules, inbound rules, that okay, the traffic that are coming to these resources will come only from HTTPS protocols. So now you have to define that, or you can just degrade the RDP remote desktop protocol and said that okay, you cannot access this resource from your RDP. So these kind of things which you do in inbound and outbound roles, that resides in network security group. Azure Traffic Manager, as the name suggests, it manages the traffic that are coming to the Azure. It operates at the DNS layer to quickly and efficiently direct incoming DNS request based on the routing method. Okay, scale sets. Scale sets is simply the collection of virtual machine. You can create a group of virtual machine on the one go, and it automatically increases or decreases the amount of server based on the changes in their metrics. Now, what kind of metrics? Metrics can be change in CPU utilization, memory, disk, or network performance. You can you can predefine a schedule for it as well. So these are cloud native networking services. Now comes enterprise hybrid networking services. So Azure Front Door is scalable, secure entry point for fast delivery of your global applications. Azure Express Route. Azure Express Route is simply if you want to connect your on-premises environment to the Azure cloud with high internet speed, then you are going to use Azure Express Route. The speed can vary from 50 MB per second to 10 GB per second. Virtual WAN. Virtual WAN is a networking service that brings networking, security, and routing functionalities together in a single operational interface. Azure Connection. It is a VPN connection securely connects to Azure local network via IP security protocol, IPsec. Virtual Network Gateway. It is a site-to-site VPN connection between Azure Virtual Network and your local network. Okay. Now come IoT services. Most interesting service provided by Azure. Interesting fact is, for whatever IoT devices you are trying to do, Azure what did is that it provides the simulation of it. So you can try it on the web that is provided by Azure, and then you can try it in a real environment. So this is a very good service provided by Azure. So IoT services. First come Iot Central. Iot Central is used to connect your IoT devices to the cloud. IoT Hub. It enables highly secure and reliable communication between your IoT application and the devices it manages. IoT Edge. It is a fully managed service built on Azure IoT Hub. It basically allows the data processing and analysis nearest to IoT devices. Edge computing is when you offload compute from the cloud to local computing hardware such as IoT devices, phones, or home computers. Uh, Further on, you can think of it as a repository so that you can do it easily. The things already made templates. Windows 10 IoT Core Services is a cloud service subscription that provides essential services needed to commercialize a device on Windows 10 IoT Core. It has a long-term OS support and assess device health as well. Let's come to big data service. First of all, what is big data? The term used to describe big data is the massive volumes of structured and unstructured data is big data. Okay. The services offered by Azure is Azure Synapse Analytics. It is a SQL data warehouse, data warehousing and big data analytics. It intended to run SQL queries against large databases for things such as reporting. Suppose you have very large number of database and database data, and you want to run SQL queries, then you can't run it with simply your MySQL running on your desktop. You need something quite bigger, okay, and quite powerful. That's where Azure Synapse Analytics comes in play. HD Insight, it is an open source analytics software such as Hadoop, Kafka, and Spark. It simply does what Hadoop, Kafka, Spark does. Okay, gathering the insights with the chunks of data. Azure Databricks. It is an Apache Spark based analytics platform optimized for Microsoft Azure Cloud Services platform. It is a third party Databricks cloud services supported within Azure. Data Lake Analytics. As on-demand analytics job service that simplifies the big data. A data lake is a storage repository that holds a vast amount of raw data in its native format until it is needed. Now let's come to ML, machine learning and artificial intelligence services. Basically, machine learning and artificial intelligence, we can say that first of all, what is machine learning, artificial intelligence? Machine learning is something that gets better at a task without explicitly programming it. Artificial intelligence is something which can mimic human behavior. Now, Azure Machine Learning Services is a service that simplifies running your AI ML related workloads. Firstly, it is known as Azure Machine Learning Studio Classic. It is the older version of machine learning. In this, the problem is workloads are not easily transferable from Classic to the new service. Okay, that's why it was kept there. Personalizer, it is a delivery rich personalized experience for every user. Translator, it adds real-time multi-language text translation to your apps, websites, and tools. Anomaly detector, detect anomalies. Azure Bot Services, it is an intelligent serverless bot service that scales on demand. Form Recognizer, automate the extraction of text, key value pairs, and tables from your documents. Computer Vision, customize computer vision models for your unique use case. Language Understanding, build a natural language understanding into apps, bots, and IoT devices. Q&A Maker, create a conversational question and answer bot for your existing content. Text Analytics, extract information such as sentiment, key phrases, named entities, and language from your text. Content Moderator, moderate text and images to provide a safer, more positive user experience. Face, it detect and identify people and emotions in images. Ink Recognizer, recognize digital ink content such as handwriting, shapes, and document layout. Okay, now let us come to some serverless terms. Okay, first of all, what is serverless? When the underlying servers, infrastructure, and OS is taken care of by the cloud service provider, it will generally be highly available, scalable, and cost effective. Okay, you don't need to manage any kind of server, VMs, or anything. Okay, it is just there on the go. So event driven scale, it is the function of a serverless that can be triggered or trigger other events, allowing you to compose complex application and just scales on its own. Abstraction of servers, servers are abstracted away. Your code is described as functions. These functions can be running on different compute instances. Micro billing, serverless compute could run for a fraction of a second. Billing into microsecond will save you lots and lots of money. So that's called micro billing. Now let us come to serverless services by Azure. Azure functions run small amounts of code that we call serverless functions in any language. That will be C#, Java, JavaScript, Python, or PowerShell. Blob storage, serverless object storage, it just upload files and you don't have to think about the underlying file system or resizing the files or anything. Logic apps, it builds serverless workflows composed of Azure functions, building a state machines for serverless compute. Event grid, same, for your we talked about notification hub. There you want event grid. What event grid did do for the publisher and subscriber messaging system, it allows you to react to events and trigger other Azure services such as Azure functions. Okay, so let's come to some miscellaneous. It is not miscellaneous, I just categorized it as miscellaneous. Azure portal. It is a web-based unified console or that provides an alternative to command line tools. Azure PowerShell. It is a task automation and configuration management framework. It is a command line shell and a scripting language. Azure Cloud Shell. It is an interactive authenticated browser accessible shell for managing Azure resources. It provides the flexibility of choosing the shell experience that best suits the way you work. It could be either Bash or PowerShell. Okay. Azure command line interface. It processes the commands to a computer program in the form of lines of text. Okay. Azure Trust Portal. So it is a public website portal which you can easily access to regulate the privacy and security compliance information. Compliance program is the program in which there is some set of internal policies set by Azure, which you can have a look and see what are the services. For example, criminal justice information services, data protection, health insurance service, organization control, many other things are there. Okay. Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory is Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management service, which helps your employees sign in and access resources. It is an IAM service. Azure Security Center is a unified infrastructure security management system. It strengthens the security posture of your data centers and provides advanced threat protection across your hybrid workloads in the cloud. Azure Application Gateway, it is a web traffic load balancer. It reroutes traffic based on a set of rules. A web application firewall can be attached for additional protection of OSI layer. Okay. Key Vault. It helps you safeguard cryptographic keys and other secrets used by cloud apps and services. Now, what kind of secrets? It could be secret key. It could be secret certificate or hardware security. Okay. Azure Firewall. It is a managed cloud-based network security service that protects your Azure virtual network resources. Azure Information Protection. It protects sensitive information such as emails, documents with encryption, restricted access and rights, and integrated security in Office apps. Azure Advisor. It is a personalized cloud consultant that helps you follow best practices to optimize your Azure deployment for the high availability, security, performance, or operational excellence. Azure Advanced Threat Protection ATP. It is a cloud security solution that leverages your on-premises Active Directory. Okay. Microsoft Security Development Cycle. Basically, we first train, then we gather the requirements, then we design, then we implement, then verify, then release, and then we get the response. And then again, cycle repeats. That is called Microsoft Security Development Lifecycle. Azure Policy. Azure Policy evaluates resources in Azure by comparing the properties of those resources to business rules. These business rules described in JSON format. It is also known as policy definitions. Azure Role-Based Access Control. It helps you manage who has access to Azure resources, what they can do with those resources, and what areas they have access to. Role definition. It is a collection of permissions. A role definition lists the operations that can be performed, such as read, write, and delete. Roles can be high level, that is owner, or specific, like virtual machine reader. Lock resources. As an admin, you may need to lock a subscription, resource group, or resource to prevent other users from accidentally deleting or modifying critical resources. There will be two types of locks: cannot delete or read only. Cannot delete is known as delete lock. Read only is read only name is respectively named as read only. Azure management groups. It is used for managing multiple subscription accounts into hierarchical structure. Azure Monitor. It is used for collecting, analyzing, and acting on telemetry from your cloud and on-premises environments. It basically creates the visual dashboards, and it can send the smart alerts, automated actions, and the monitoring of the logs, whatever you are doing on the Azure. Azure Service Health uh, provides information about current and upcoming issues, for example, service outages. Okay, service level agreement. It describes the Azure commitment for uptime and connectivity of your services. A composite SLA. It is when you combine the SLA across different services offering to improve overall SLA performance target. TCO calculator. It estimates the cost savings you can realize by migrating your workloads to Azure. Azure pricing calculator. Azure pricing calculator simply configure and estimate the cost of our Azure products. No sign-in required. Download an Excel spreadsheet and share with your boss. Azure cost management. It performs cost analysis, visualize the spending of your Azure cloud resources. It create a budgets, set a budget threshold can be alerted when approaching or exceeded the threshold. So this is all about these services of the Azure. Thank you.